This is a very sad news, and it breaks my heart that things like this are happening in a country that I really love and with someone that I really revered and respected. For far too long, I have thought that President Akufo-Addo of Ghana was someone who was going to be like an exemplary figure in Africa. But from what we are hearing, Ghana is essentially bankrupt. Ghana has gone bankrupt. Ghana is unable to finance her credit. Ghana is unable to pay her contractors. Ghana is unable to even pay the local power companies in the country. And from what we are hearing, if care is not taken, Ghana will start seeing some blackouts in the country. If you put all this together, it really, really make you feel sad. Before we get to the article that I am referring to, let me just make this point very clear. You know, a few months ago, Ghanaian MPs were shouting and saying how their country is in good shape and how they do not want any LGBTQ activities in the country and how they are prepared to fight the West if the West tries to impose LGBTQ things on them. And at that time, I said that Ghana has real problems. Ghana was trying to secure a bailout from the IMF. Ghana was going through a lot. And these MPs needed to redirect their energy and their attention in solving these problems that are fundamental to the people in Ghana. Not wasting taxpayers' money on debating or passing bills in parliament that doesn't really have any significant impact on the lives of the people in Ghana. I said that. And I also said that in Africa, what I've realized is we, the Africans, love this whole idea of just neglecting the real problems and just focusing on issues that do not really benefit us. We try our best to distract the people. We try our best to bring in irrelevant things so that the people do not pay attention on what is actually going on. Because if the MPs in Ghana really thought that they wanted to safeguard their country, that they wanted to kick away Western influence from their country, they would stop taking loans from the IMF. They would stop borrowing money from the World Bank. They will figure out a way to fund their activities by themselves. They will talk to themselves that we have a lot of things in Ghana that we can use to generate income. So let's figure out a way we can trade within Africa to generate the much needed income that we need and reinvest that income into building infrastructures. But all this is so difficult, figuring out things is very difficult. Really having a roadmap is a very challenging thing to do. Coming out with proposals that develop the country is a very, very challenging thing to do. So why not just come out with LGBT thing and said, oh, this is bad for society, this is bad for us, and we must stamp it out. Aha! That one is so easy to do. So we can say it's Western influence on our lives, on our culture, on our traditions. We could say LGBTQ activities is encroaching on our way of life. and is trying to entice our people into doing things that are against them, that doesn't serve their interest, that doesn't serve the interest of the Ghanaian public as a whole. That one is quite easy. So MPs from Ghana were so happy to bring that to the front line. And they shouted and they talked about passing all sorts of draconian rules and regulations and laws about it. But there's a fundamental problem that is affecting every single person in the country. Those problems, they will not address it because they understand it's difficult to get it solved. So they just let it be. That is Africa for you, my brothers and sisters. That is Africa for you. Now, I'm not saying that we should welcome Western influence in our country. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there are more important issues that we should talk about, that we expect elected officials to talk about. There are more severe issues that we are facing that should be dealt with. There are more dire problems that we must be addressing. This problem that affects the majority, if not all, of the people in our society. Those are the problems that we should be giving more priority to. Not talking about things that does not even affect 5% of our society. Now, there might be time when we can come and talk about stuff like that. Yeah. But for now, we have more important things to handle. But Africa, they are always like this. Yeah. So let's go through the article that tell us what Ghana is going through and how Ghana is officially a bankrupt society. So the headline says, despite 3 billion bailout, Ghana has essentially gone bankrupt. Ghanaian government faces bankruptcy as it struggles to pay billions in debt to international creditors. The IMF extended a 3 billion loan to stabilize Ghana's economy amid the financial crisis and mounting debts. Ghana's ongoing debt crisis linked to COVID-19, geopolitical events, and the rising food and fuel prices raises concern about future financial stability. Well, I think all these lists of things, and most countries in Africa will always attribute their problems to COVID-19. And I believe that if they had good economic structures in place, if they were not so much indebted, they wouldn't be feeling this so much pressure now. Because remember, if you are someone who only collects loan from one lender to another, who goes around borrowing money from anyone who is willing to lend it to you, when anything happens, you become so indebted that you are unable to even know what to do. You can only service your loans or your debts if things work normally. As soon as something breaks, you are in a very, very serious problem. And that is what Ghana is facing right now. Ghana is heavily indebted. It's heavily indebted. And I will leave you with this one point before I go. I have said it many times on this show, and I will say it again. It's quite laughable to see African leaders complaining and barging and nagging and having tantrums like 2 years old about the IMF and the World Bank. They are the first to complain and whine how the policies of these financial institutions do not benefit them. and how the policies that these financial institutions have in place are working against the interests of the African people and the African continent. While saying all this, they are out there collecting huge amount of loans. Why would they do that? Why would you stick with something that you clearly know is working against your interests? Why would you keep on eating the same food that you clearly knows gives you running stomach? Why? And what happened to the previous loans? What have they done with it? Who is responsible for all this huge amount of money that we have borrowed? Who is responsible for that? Africa has a serious leadership issue, and things like this are mainly the symptoms of a far more larger problem in Africa. Africa has a leadership crisis. And until we address this leadership crisis, we will keep on having issues like this, whereby we will borrow so much money and we will be unable to service the loans. But you guys out there, let me know your take on this whole issue about Ghana going bankrupt. Do you think that Nana Akufo-Addo is responsible for this, or maybe the leaders before him totally run the country into the drain? And is more loan the solution to the problem? Please let us know in the comment section below, because like always, we love hearing what you have to say. And also, don't forget to like this video, share this video, follow our Facebook page, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel, because little bit of good way, the what you're doing just now, help us a lot, and we shall ever be grateful to you. So thank you very much for doing just that. And like always, see you in the next one.